I attempted to get a huge win streak in TDS while playing with completely random people. My goal was to get 10 wins in a row, which would seemingly give me the longest random win streak in TDS, since no one else has done this. So I gave myself 3 tries to build up the streak. The first 2 games were both on multi-mode and were mostly me warming up. The loadout I brought was mostly self-explanatory, however I did bring Gold Scout instead of Gladiator. This is because although Gladiator is generally better, Gold Scout can handle early game bosses much better. Games 1 and 2 were both very straightforward with this loadout, especially since they were on 2 easy maps, and I quickly won them, getting the win streak to 2. However, game 3 is where things went very wrong. It was a 4-player game on Rocket Arena, where 2 of my teammates were fairly new players, and the one exception ended up leaving early on. We were struggling heavily for the whole game, nearly leaking multiple enemies multiple times, and when the tank finally spawned, it got through and ended my first win streak before it even really began. So I took a step back and decided to change my loadout. While Accelerator does have very high DPS, charge up time was just too long, and I decided that just wasn't reliable enough for this. I replaced it with Support Tower Electroshocker and made Gold Minigunner my main source of DPS. I sort of mirrored the first streak, as the first run was a simple molten game which went well. However, the second fallen game became very dangerous. My teammates were fairly high level, however we were missing one player, and one teammate said that he was running out of battery. Things were looking bleak. Incredibly, our 4th player loaded in on wave 9, but on wave 22 we lost a player, which once again bounced the game to a trio. My teammates then started to skip every single wave, which caused me a great deal of stress. However, in the end, we had enough minigunners to take down the Fallen King, getting the streak to 2 wins. I saw a bad there in this game, but thought better of joining it, and instead got into a mega game. This one had an extremely weak start, and it was only thanks to our huge base health that we survived. We managed to hold out the first 25 or so waves, at which point a multitude of accelerators and rangers were placed, and even though 2 people left, we managed to cruise to the final wave and then get the win. And then won another multi-game, putting the streak to 4, and advanced to a mega game on Iceville. This is where I realized I had made a mistake. The problem is with the map, in that it is very short and the path is way too straightforward. We just didn't have enough DPS. Out of my 5 teammates, I had my gold minigunners and 1% accelerators, but other than that, it was only soldiers and military bases, which was just not enough. And I lost the second win streak on the 5th game, putting me onto my final attempt. So at this point, I decided to try to optimize the challenge in every way possible. I decided to only vote for multi-mode and to try to get the best possible maps. And I locked in. I played game after game after game, and by doing essentially the same strategy every time, things got pretty repetitive. However, there were a few standout moments, like this team, who all literally only farmed until wave 17, leading us to have a very weak early game, but an insanely strong late game. I also definitely felt like I mastered multi-mode at this point, as the challenge became not the actual gameplay, but rather the sheer amount of time playing the same thing over and over. But finally, after about 3 hours, I got to game 10, and it was just another standard win, meaning I officially reached the 10-game win streak, finishing the challenge. Overall, this was an interesting challenge, which depends a lot on the difficulty. Multi-mode can almost always be a guaranteed win, whereas for fallen mode, you need to get lucky with high-level teammates. I would not recommend this challenge, as this was very stressful. Subscribe, leave a like,